Alright, let's torture myself with the Cadillac of ME262 kits. On top of being packed with detail, this kit comes with 3 sheets of photo-etched parts. Believe it or not, I found this kit for sale on Marketplace for $20. It includes pre-painted photo-etched parts for the cockpit and rubber tires for the landing gear. Looking at the kit, I'd say there's over 500 pieces. Getting right into this ME262 build, my first thought is straight confusion. I mean, just look at this instruction manual. All the detail is on the interior pieces in case you decide to not use the pre-painted photo-etched parts included. If you do or do not use the photo-etched parts, there's not one included for every interior panel, so you will have to paint some of them. Very few people have the time or patience to paint detail as nice as these photo-etched pieces. Moving on to the seats and the instrument panel, we're going to be using a lot of pre-painted photo-etched parts. Unfortunately, I lost one of the pre-painted photo-etched seatbelts. We're just going to have to pretend it's folded under the seat. In order to adhere all these small pieces, I'm using AK Crystal Clear glue. This glue is designed for adhering windscreens and photo-etched parts like seen on screen. Imagine a blind man like me trying to paint that with a paintbrush. More pre-painted photo-etched parts to assemble. These go adjacent to the pilot's seats, almost like armrest. If you're wondering what photo etching is, it's a precision manufacturing process. It uses UV light and chemical etchants to dissolve unwanted sections of thin metal sheets, leaving behind highly intricate, burr-free, and stress-free metal components. And to think, a 3D printed interior looks better than that. Now we're breaking into the second set of photo-etched parts. The instruction manual on this old Dragon kit, I must admit, is confusing. With a little bit of time, trial and error, and patience, I get it together though. I was reading online of common problems this kit encounters, and joining the fuselage halves is one of them. Fortunately for me though, I had no trouble and it went together quite easily. When I started this kit, I was under the impression I could leave the panels off on one of the engines and have it exposed. I was wrong. The kit includes 2 bonus engines to display in a diorama format. Unfortunately, I won't be building a diorama with this aircraft. I'll be hanging it in my massive O-scale model railway. Getting into the wing section, I finally realized in the landing bay area that not all the pieces are going to be shown in the instruction manual where to place them. Thankfully, I've already used a majority of the pieces, so my guessing game is not too hard. I previously stated I did not think I was going to be able to leave the engines in an exposed state. I take that back. I do see the pieces that will allow me to mount the exposed engines. I just have to guess where they go. So far, I'm not a big fan of Dragon model airplane kits, but they are highly detailed. Now let's fix all these seam issues on the world's first operational jet fighter. First, let's mask off where we're going to be putting down some putty. Because these gaps are tiny, I'm using Vallejo plastic putty. I then follow up with a Q-tip to push the putty into the crack. Once that's had about 20 minutes to dry, remove the masking tape and take a high grit sandpaper and sand away the excess. I don't have a scribe, so I use a hobby knife to fix the panel lines. Now it's time to mount the wings to the fuselage. Same thing as the fuselage, we're going to have gaps that need to be addressed using Vallejo filler putty. Quickly clean that up and we can move on to mounting the engines. Although both exposed engines are included in the kit, I'll only be doing one exposed for interest. The engines mount to the plane with weak little pins. I've already managed to break it off once while recording this video. This is why it's important to keep your leftover pieces from other kits in case you need to fix something you break on a future kit. Time to torture myself with all the meticulous little photo etch pieces included in this kit. Like I showed you at the start of the video, this kit is not short of photo etch pieces. The bigger stuff that requires a little origami is always my favorite. I hate the stuff the size of a grain of salt. When working with photo etch pieces, I like to wear my magnifying glasses so that I can see the crease lines on the photo etch. How detailed the cockpit is has me window shopping some Eduard kits. Primer is the foundation of a great-looking scale model aircraft. It helps paint stick better, prevents chipping, and highlights any seams or imperfections that need fixing before the final paint job. A good primer coat also creates an even surface, making your colors look smoother and more realistic. Spending a few extra minutes priming can make a huge difference in the final result. Scale modelers use mottling, also known as pre-shading, marbling, or black basing, as a foundational technique to make a solid color aircraft look dynamic, faded, and realistic. It prevents the model from looking like a flat plastic toy by artificially altering the lighting and shadows on the panels. When the actual base coat is sprayed as a very thin, slightly transparent layer, the underlying modded pattern shows through, simulating sun bleaching and structural wear. Applying paint in thin layers after mottling is important because it lets the mottled pattern subtly show through the top coat. If you spray the base color too heavily, you'll completely cover the mottling effect and lose the depth and variation you worked to create. Thin coats also create a more realistic faded look instead of a solid toy-like finish. Before applying Helgrun RLM 82, we apply a mask. The ME 262 has some nice crisp lines on the wings and some more freehand looking ones on the fuselage. Getting the camouflage pattern correct on the ME 262 is something that's a little challenging for a new modeler like myself. I can see some lines down the side of the fuselage I'll have to fix, but let's get the second color on. After a half hour of work masking the green paint we just put down, we can come in with brown violet RLM 81. Although this is airbrush paint, I thin it an additional 25% so that the mottling we worked hard to put down is not overtaken by a saturated coat of paint. I'm not going to pretend to have skills that I don't have. I took my best attempt at the camouflage pattern at the sides of the fuselage. For my second year, I'll count it as a win. Time to paint the canopies. Magnifying glasses can be helpful. I start with a little bit of masking tape before remembering I have liquid mask. This stuff goes on like paint and can be trimmed up with a knife and a toothpick. It dries semi-transparent, don't be alarmed when it changes colors. Off camera, I fixed up the paint job on the ME 262. Now let's do a little sponge chipping. This added step is to simulate wear, where the pilot would walk on the wing while entering or exiting the aircraft. Once I'm happy with it, I seal it in and get ready for decals. When applying decals, a gloss coat is applied first to create a smooth surface for the decals and help prevent silvering. Once the gloss coat has cured, the decals are carefully applied and allowed to dry completely. The model is then finished with an anti-shine matte varnish, which seals the decals, protects them from handling, and removes the glossy appearance. This final step blends everything together and gives the model a realistic scale-appropriate finish. For weathering the ME 262, we're going to be using panel line accent color dark gray. Once you have it placed in all the panel lines, we can use some odorless mineral spirit to wipe it away in areas it's unwanted. The 262's engine failures were primarily from shortages of metal such as nickel and cobalt, forcing the use of substandard steel. This gave the 262s 25 hours of flight time before engine failure, so don't overweather it. One of the last steps for the ME 262 is the landing gear and wheels. I'm using an AK real color marker to paint the wheels. This Dragon kit comes with rubber wheels. I use a little pigment on them off camera. The bay doors are a little tricky to get seated correctly, but then again, this is a 20-year-old kit. It's not made to go together correctly. So this wraps up the ME-262 by Dragon. Yes, the plane is a tail diver. I plan on hanging it from the ceiling of my model train layout, so I'm not worried about it. This kit does have some fitment issues, but with a little bit of patience, you can get it together. Thank you for joining me on this build. I'll see you on the next one.